The Seattle Mariners had a very interesting first series against the Boston Red Sox. Let's talk about it. So the Boston Red Sox and the Seattle Mariners played a 4-game set this weekend, and they ended up splitting it 2-2. While there was definitely some positive things to look at from a Mariners standpoint, there was also a good amount of negatives that really need to be improved on going into the next series. So in this video, we're just going to do a little bit of a recap of the series and also just talk about little things here and there that I think can be improved on, and also some positives that we saw. So the 2 games the Seattle Mariners won, Logan Gilbert and George Kirby absolutely shoved. Gilbert went 7 innings and George Kirby went 6 2/3, which is very impressive and very good for them. We expect that from them a lot. While the 2 games we lost, Bryce Miller and Luis Castillo both pitched with actually a very similar stat line. They both went 5 innings and had 5 strikeouts. Bryce Miller had 6, but Bryce Miller also gave up 1 more home run than Luis Castillo did in that game. But kind of going along with how good the starting pitching was for us this weekend, one of the good takeaways was that our bullpen only gave up 4 runs across these 4 games, which is pretty good. And not using major power arms, Austin Voth had a really good weekend for us. Gabe Spire looked really good as well. And then Andres Munoz does Andres Munoz things and has a 4-out save on Friday night to get the 1-0 win. So from a pitching standpoint, I was very impressed this weekend. I would like Bryce Miller and Luis Castillo to do better, obviously, but they're going to be just fine going out throughout the year. So let's really get into the offense and kind of show some of the positives, but also some of the really bad negatives from this weekend. So in terms of who had a good weekend offensively, Mitch Haniger obviously had his home run in his first game back in Seattle, which was just so poetic and so fitting for him. But overall, he had a very good weekend. I believe he had 4 hits on the weekend. Demo had that pinch hit home run on Thursday night as well, which was great to see right off the bench, because there is going to be a lot of that platooning off the bench, and we're almost going to see probably 11 guys almost every game. But another guy that also had a sneaky good weekend offensively was Josh Rojas. I believe he had 4 hits as well and drove in some runs, which was nice to see, and he even came up big in the extra inning game on Saturday night. But in terms of the top of our order, Jorge Polanco only had 1 hit in his first weekend as a Seattle Mariner. Mitch Garver was obviously out with some back spasms, so he missed 3 games this series. And Julio and JP each had 2 hits as well. So again, no need to freak out. It's very, very early in the season. That's kind of the thing I want to push in this video, is it's very early. We're literally 4 games in. We have 158 more plus to go, hopefully the playoffs as well. We're going to be just fine. But just from a Mariners fan's perspective and kind of things that we always talk about is like, can we just start off hot that one time? Can we just see the offense improve right from the jump? And to be honest, that's what a lot of us thought going in, at least me personally, coming off of spring training. Obviously, spring training is very different, but I do believe they were going to come in hot. At least. And also, as I said, after the 1-0 game, elite pitching allows you to win games 1-0. You obviously don't want that to happen all the time, because if we're going to put up zeros on the board defensively, let's get some runs on offense so it doesn't have to be that close to begin with. But that is the benefit of having elite pitching in this league, is that you can go out and win games 1-0. So just to go over some offensive stats from this weekend, kind of just to emphasize kind of how much they really struggled and how much we really didn't want to see this coming into this weekend. So in 2022, the Seattle Mariners in the first 4 games of the season only had 31 strikeouts. And last year, where we had a very strikeout-heavy lineup, we had 35 strikeouts after the first 4 games. So like we had discussed all offseason, we were hoping to minimize these strikeouts. We removed 550 strikeouts from the lineup with Gino, Teo, and JK. So this year, we kind of hoped that these were going to be very minimized. Obviously, every team's going to strike out a decent amount. That's just the sport. But we're really hoping to minimize these numbers as much as humanly possible. But after the first 4 games this weekend, we had 10 more strikeouts than we did last year at 45 strikeouts in 4 games. And again, I give the Red Sox pitching staff credit because they aren't really known to be the best pitching staff or anywhere near that, but they really did shove this weekend. Just to give you kind of a background on the starting 5 or just the entire pitching rotation for the Red Sox in general, Bleacher Report at the beginning of the season put them at the 24th best staff in the league. So they're in that bottom tier of pitching staffs in the league. So truly, there's just no reason for them to come in and we only score 10 runs against all of them. And just to give you a few more stats on top of this, Seattle has the 2nd lowest batting average in all of the MLB at 178, the 2nd lowest WRC plus at 45, and tied for the 2nd worst WAR at -0.6 after this weekend. And just to let you know what the 45 strikeouts means is we had over a 33% strikeout percentage as a team after this weekend. But one thing, again, I don't want to just focus on too many negatives because there was some positives coming out of this weekend. Like I said, our pitching. Somehow, after all these bad offensive numbers, we still walked out of the weekend 2-2. And again, by no means am I saying that the Red Sox are a top team in the league and that this was a great pull away, because I wanted us to win at least 3 in this series. But after these offensive numbers, we still walked away with 2 wins from the series. That just shows kind of how good our pitching is, and if we just give them a little bit of offense, we'll just be that much better as a team. So in terms of how I'm trying to word this, is that basically what I'm saying, the Seattle Mariners floor is very, very high. They can only put up 10 runs in 4 games and still walk away with 2 of those wins. Again, let's not get into this bad habit of doing this, but it's still one of those things just showing how high their potential really is as a team. I think kind of not having Mitch Garver in the lineup does really hurt us a bit because he really does lengthen the lineup a lot more and puts a guy like Mitch Haniger down in the 5 spot, so that 1 through 5 is really just stacked. Luke Raley also had a pretty decent weekend for coming off the bench and only starting in 2 of the games. He did have 2 hits, especially one in the extra innings that kept the rally going. So again, I'm not very concerned. I think that they will be just fine. I do think that they need to adjust with how pitchers are adjusting to them because I know they're a very fastball heavy team. It's common knowledge that a lot of these guys on the Mariners absolutely rip fastballs, so they're not going to give them as frequently as they have in the past. So I think for the first weekend, I'll take being 2-2. Like I said, I wish we pulled 3 away, but for what it was and how we were offensively, 2 wins is a good amount. The Boston Red Sox knew to attack with a lot of off-speed pitches is what made them so effective as a staff this weekend. And one player I kind of do want to talk about that was a little bit concerning for me just kind of watching his demeanor playing this weekend was Dom Canzone. I think you can tell he's playing with a lot of pressure on his shoulders right now to try to perform at that high level that we're all expecting of him. Or at least a good amount of us are. I know a lot of people aren't super high on him, but there is a good amount, especially after spring training, that thinks he could be an everyday player for us. But you can really just tell how he played all weekend, especially at the plate. Kind of just swinging at things he never really swings at, and he's just playing with a lot of pressure and playing with a lot of anger. So it'd be nice for him to kind of settle in, get that first hit under his belt so he can kind of relax and just play his game. So again, very early in the season, this is kind of just my takeaway from this entire series. The pitching staff is going to be absolutely awesome to watch this year, so definitely excited for that. But again, I think the offense does really need to improve, and I think they are going to get into a groove at some point. Let's just hope that comes sooner rather than later. We have the first game against the Guardians tonight, and Emerson Hancock's getting his first start this season, so hopefully he does well, and the offense can really start to pick it up. Let me know your guys' feedback after the first series of the Mariners season. Again, super early, but just some takeaways early on that I wanted to talk about in this video. Otherwise, I hope you guys did enjoy the video, and I'll see you guys for a video later this week. Peace out.